We are live with Zvonimir Petric and Nicholas Alexander Karadza. And
the English version.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Nicholas Alexander Karadza, but it's kind of it's kind of like a mix. Nicholas Alexander Karadza.
One of the few episodes where Nick's on time.
Yeah, you know that. Yeah, Nick's here. See, hey, do you see what kind of person you are? You got here. He was here right on time. He's like, I'm not going to miss Zvon.
Oh, wow.
For the record, I have my own schedule to keep. Then I have to keep Tom's schedule with the podcast as well. It's virtually impossible. I'm doing twice the work.
The podcast is for you too. It's not Tom's schedule. This is us together. You can join in or not join in. I make it easy. I make Nick's mic hot all the time. He can stop in anytime he wants. He can leave anytime he wants. But Zvonimir is back, so we have all these tech. Listen, look at all the tech questions I have for him. So we have to do rapid fire because I have a lot of tech questions for you. I have security questions, app upgrade questions, photo questions. I'm going to ask him about my photos on my Mac because I can never use them. But before we begin, last time we were here, I said I can't sing. I have no musical ability. And I remember you singing. I don't know if it was at your sister's wedding. Honestly, I don't even remember. I guess it was at your sister's wedding.
Possibly.
But yeah. And I really wish I had some musical ability that I don't have. And I think you thought I was joking, but I really do admire the fact that you can sing. So with that, I think we should kick this off with you singing.
So because we spoke about that last time.
Don't laugh. This is serious business.
Yeah, sure. So like I was telling you earlier before the podcast started, it was like, yeah, I think your show's a little bit too serious. Sometimes. You guys have a lot of fun. It's great, but I think we can spice it up this time a little bit. So what I've proposed to you
by talking about technology security, really spicy subject.
Yeah, super sexy subject.
No, I was just telling you, remember last time on the two-factor authentication, and then just so everyone's aware,
wait. Authentication?
Authentication on the authentication. The last time Zvonimir was here, he told us we didn't have two-factor authentication on. Just so everyone listening knows, Nick, after that episode, remember you went in and you turned on two-factor authentication on across the whole business for the next, I think, 3 days to 3 weeks. We had people here at Rockstar saying, I can't get into my email. I can't get into anything. Can you please?
Yeah, and that's what I said.
We locked everybody out of the business.
Yeah.
So thanks, Vaughn. You really helped us out there. You locked everybody out of the business for
probably like $100,000 in losses in revenue, but that's fine. It's worth it.
We're more secure.
It's worth it. You didn't get hacked. So because we discussed that, I was like, I really don't want to do that. It's sort of out of my element. It's not my thing. I'm modest about my voice and singing and stuff. Like I do it, but it's not. I don't know. It's a thing I need to do to release almost. It's like it's an escape. But it's definitely not I don't like the attention per se, but nonetheless, when you're singing, you sort of have to own that attention.
Are you going to sing or not?
Hold on. I'm building the story.
Preamble. This is the preamble.
So in order for me to do this, I'm not going to just sing some stupid song. I somehow fell upon an old school tune and then I changed the words for you.
Oh,
shit. It's actually an ode to your Bitcoin love.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was expecting Olivia Rodrigo.
You know what? I couldn't be happier right now.
So seriously, this required a lot of driving and repeating a same song to figure out the wording and the sort of delivery of this. So I hope you appreciate that this is probably the first time I've ever done this, and I had a lot of fun with it, actually.
Let's have it.
But what I promised myself is I'm not going to do this for free, in the sense that I'm going to ask your team.
For Bitcoin?
No.
Okay.
That'd be cool, but no. It's not going to cost anybody any money unless that's what they decide. So your team, your Rockstar team, can come up with some elaborate plan to get you out of your comfort zone.
And Nick too.
Sure.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so the two of you to get out of your comfort zones, obviously within reasonable limits, right? We're going to asterisk that. So team, rock and roll. I just want the video of what's happening when it happens and how it happens.
When we have to get out of our comfort zones, is it something we have to do on the podcast or just anywhere?
I don't care.
Okay.
Your team can decide the rules with you guys. I just want something to happen in order to pay for this abode to Bitcoin for you.
That's a fair exchange. I want to hear this abode, so that is a completely fair exchange. Nick, you have to do it too. Are you committing?
That's no problem. I'm out of my comfort zone. Every time I think I shouldn't be doing something, I do it. So I'm not.
Oh, okay.
So this is good.
This is good.
Okay.
Yeah. This is good.
All right,
I couldn't come up with anything that wasn't completely embarrassing.
Do you need some mood music for this?
No,
Do we turn off the lights?
No, we're just going to do this. So,
okay.
Bitcoin higher than a mile. I'm watching you in style all day. Oh, dream maker, you heartbreaker. Wherever you're going, I'm holding all day. Two drifters off to see the charts. There's such a lot of charts to watch. We're after the all-time highs, waiting for the dips, my rock star little friends. Bitcoin and you.
Oh my. Okay, that was amazing.
It took a lot of like revisions, so to speak.
Listen,
so,
if someone listening to this has something that they need to do, that's fearless, maybe we can start a trend that they can come on the podcast and do what they need to do to the world too. But you know what? That wasn't even fearless for you. I feel like that just came easy. You don't even.
Whatever. I just get. Yeah, you don't care. But
Tom just knocked it. Yeah.
No. No, it's a compliment to the freaking guy who can sing. Because can you imagine me and you trying to do that? Yeah, cool, dude. We're gonna have to clip that. I'm gonna have to send it to a few to a certain brother-in-law of yours, so he has that for you forever. So he's gonna,
and it will be had, and it will be forever.
And knowing Marco's been on this podcast, anyone listening to this, yeah, they're brother-in-laws, and he will have this forever, and he will enjoy sharing that with you.
I am forever. Now envisioning forever torment.
Yeah. But it was such a good rendition of the song.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That's cool.
And Nick, I was dancing to the song here. You were just staring in shock at what was going on.
No, I was laughing.
You were staring at me.
Laughing.
Listen.
Yeah, wasn't staring in shock. This
guy's a busy guy. We only have him for a certain amount of time. I'm going to dive into it. With the Mac stuff, I have a new M1 MacBook Air here.
Congratulations.
So that, thank you.
It's already out of date.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. The next one, what is it? The 14-inch with the better M1 chip is coming up. But my last MacBook that finally died, I had to do it. So with the M1 chip and this MacBook, do you think I just always upgrade to the latest OS? Because when I upgraded to Big Sur, was it Big Sur before the last?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I think it was Big Sur was the last big one. I had like 3 or 4 video application stuff stop working on me. So if someone's listening to this with their own MacBooks, are you just saying upgrade to the latest operating system all the time, or what do we need to think about?
So it's not a simple response, right? The fact that you've got an M1 Mac is great. They're amazing machines. I joke that they're out of date. They're still spectacular machines. This 13-inch that you have. I don't want to get too technical with people. That's sort of boring, right? But upgrading willy-nilly, as Apple will generally want to push you by the way that their operating system works, it'll kind of push you, it'll nudge you. It'll be like, hey, Monterey's out, which all these stupid names don't really mean anything. So when we're talking Big Sur, you're talking version 11, Monterey's version 12. All right, so version 12 being the latest version. It literally released on Monday, I think. I wouldn't update right away.
Okay.
What are you jonesing for?
No, I'm just wondering if you're at home with a few kids on their MacBooks and security, do you just always upgrade to the latest one, or do you wait a couple weeks, couple months before you upgrade?
So it depends, right? So for somebody like yourself who's got this elaborate, cool setup and all this fancy tech, and you're relying on specific pieces of software, you need to ensure that the key applications that you're using work with the latest version. That's the most important thing.
Which you didn't do.
No.
And then you couldn't do anything. You couldn't run any podcasts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that for you, I would say, no, you need to hold off and make sure that each piece of software that you run.
But if it's my daughter who's basically web browsing using Google Docs, upgrade it, she gets the latest security, that's it. And that would be include for iPads and everything. Okay.
But is there major security issues with the Mac anyways versus PC? Yeah, there are, yeah.
There are.
You just don't hear about them as much?
Yeah, I mean, it's a smaller market share, but Big Sur, previous to 11.6, so 6 being a revision of 11, the 6th revision. Sorry for doing basic math for y'all. If you had a version under 11.6, you had a very big security flaw. I can't remember the specifics of it now because I didn't care. It was just a big enough one to that we actually forced that update on everybody. So the 300, 400, 500 computers we manage, whatever it is.
For your clients.
We went on a crazy mandate.
So does this mean, okay, someone like me or listening at home about this kind of stuff, does this mean if I have sensitive banking on my laptop or something, I can get malware and somebody can monitor my keywords, monitor which keys I'm pressing on my keyboard?
I mean, there are certain vulnerabilities that work in certain ways. Again, it boils back down to that whole two-factor thing a lot of the times. Physical access to your Mac will help me get access to your data quicker. But if I hack your password because you gave it to me via phishing email or something, that's the easiest way, which is why two-factor kicks in, right?
When you hear about malware, what is it that I should be scared of? I don't even know anymore. I'm so out of date with this stuff. What is malware? Like, what am I scared about with malware?
It's like it's a malicious piece of software on your computer that does something that you don't
something
think
nefarious.
It would do. Yeah. So, for example, I'll use a very common thing that a lot of people had on their phones before, which was the camera. What was it? The camera apps or like calculator apps on Android or something like that. I'm using Android as a primary example because it's just easier. Those apps were free. So why did somebody create that app that was free? Why would they spend the time to create an app that's free? And this will boil down to a basic philosophical thing of technology. If something's free, you become the product in most cases. I'm not saying all the time. There are some great developers that are giving out stuff for free because they're amazing human beings. But a calculator app that's spitting ads at you and doing all these things, all you want to do is add 2 + 2. But in the background, it's siphoning your contacts and it's doing a bunch of stuff that the operating system at the time would allow, which is why Apple has this huge stance on privacy. And I'm not a rah Apple guy.
Let's face it.
I'm very critical of them. And they do make mistakes, and lots of them. In fact, the new MacBooks, we can talk about in a minute, but they made a ton of mistakes with the laptops over the last 3-4 years. They've now finally given us our abode for people who follow this, going, well, here's your laptop you've been asking for. You had it already 4 years ago, but here it is again. We screwed up. They didn't say it with those words, but that's what they did. So when it comes to malware, it's a piece of software that's doing something that you're not aware of maliciously, i.e. gathering data or whatever, because it's all about gathering data, right? How is Facebook so successful?
So on the App Store, do I have to be worried about my kids downloading apps that are free, all those little gaming apps and stuff? Or generally on the App Store, is it filtered enough through Apple that, you're okay?
In the case of Apple, you're generally okay. There are apps that come out that can circumvent Apple's protections. On the Android side, I would say, you absolutely have to be more careful. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Android phones have malware on them. It's getting better. But that's the big debate about iOS versus Android, right? Android's a little bit more of an open free market, and there's absolute benefits to that. And then the Apple world is a little bit more dictatorish. You know, we're gonna big brother this situation.
Yeah, got
What
it.
about these password apps? I know you have questions, Tom, but these
that's one of mine.
Generic password apps, it always freaks me out because I use 1Password and there's a lot of information in there, but it seems like they're relatively secure. I haven't seen that there's been any hacks to any of those companies yet. So it's like 1Password, LastPass. I think there's a couple other ones, right?
Well, because the data is encrypted, and it's encrypted by a password that you've created, which is hopefully a secure password called that master password, the one that you use to unlock your vault. So imagine you have a safe in your basement or in your office. If there's one in your office, let us know. And then
it's right under your seat right now.
Got it. Cool. And your password to that safe is usually just a pin pad, right? Like we're talking literal safes, right? Well, if your password's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, but when there's data, you just gave Nick's password away.
But
right.
When there's data leaks in these other companies, the stuff's encrypted anyways. When they can get in, they can decrypt it. No,
if they have your password.
So it all comes down to, for the password apps, I think Nick's thinking is their security good enough that they won't get hacked? But you're saying as long as your password is good and beefy and a good password, that you believe their security is good enough that they're not going to be hacked through some backdoor database mechanism.
Correct.
I think that's where Nick's thinking. Can someone in the backdoor, forget your password, get into 1Password's master database?
Right. So a great example of that would be how LinkedIn keeps getting hacked. I think it's happened a bunch of times over the time, and your PII, your personal identification information, gets out.
Well, look how many times Visa, retailers' databases are hacked, and they get all the Visa information. And typically, Visa information isn't stored in its entirety, right? It's usually not, and some digits are missing or encrypted, and then they're getting the full numbers.
So I think that's where Nick's coming from. Is there a backdoor threat we should be worried of when we have all our life's passwords in one of these password apps?
So because I don't know the intricacies of that, it's hard for me to really answer that.
Do you use one?
I use 1Password.
Okay.
I trust 1Password.
I trust
I'm comfortable with 1Password.
I trust One so we use 1Password.
I mean, the reality is there's nothing that's 1,000% secure, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. So can 1Password get hacked? Possibly.
Well,
Has it been?
you know, it's a big target because like anyone
Absolutely.
looking at it's like shit. If I
Yeah.
get there, that's a holy grail because
That's
I get
their whole business. So you got to imagine
Yeah.
they're also got
they're fighting
triple down on
Yeah,
this.
like I didn't come prepared for that particular nitty gritty question because I don't know. But the reality is that is their one thing they do, and they got to do it well, or they're gone.
Someone
Right.
got my information somewhere because on the team here, we have multiple people getting text messages saying, hey, this is Tom Karadza, and can you do me a quick favor?
Yeah.
And then the person responds because we've been playing along with them.
Yeah, have you seen that? This is a new thing. Sorry, I cut you
Yeah,
off.
they play along and they say, yeah, I'll help you out. And someone on our team's going quite deep
I
with
saw,
this.
yeah.
And then they're coming back and saying, oh, you know, I guess Tom said, even though it's not me, it's a Baltimore phone number, by the way, that the text message is coming in from, but it says Tom Karadza. And they're saying, you know, I need your help. Can you go to the store and get me a quick Visa card? And then the exchanges go back and forth like 10 times and ultimately leads to, because this person on our team did take a picture of like, hey, I got these Visa cards, but they're wrapped. And they said, can you take the wrapping off and take a clear picture of me of the front and the back? And afterwards, I'll email you the money. I'm just in a jam. I can't get it to you right now. And they're pretending they're me. And the person's just playing along saying, no, you know what? You must have my email address. You know me. Send me the money first. And they're now at that stage with the I guess the scammer knows that they're kind of caught. And they're like, no, don't worry. It's Tom. You trust me.
Yeah, you trust me, right?
You trust me.
You know who I am. I'm
it's
not
me.
gonna
You know
run.
who it's me. Yeah, you know it's me.
I
Send
haven't
me the
seen.
Visa.
This is the first time I've seen
A few
that.
people on our team
Yeah.
have it all from me.
Yeah.
So I must be, my phone number or my name got out there somehow.
So
But then they must have correlated it with who else is on the team here because they're going to Rockstar people.
well, are your phone numbers on your website?
No,
Are they on your email
Again,
signatures?
Zvonimir
No.
just picks apart our security.
no, they're not. We don't share our cell phone numbers anywhere.
they're not.
So there's a couple key things you don't want to do on your website, for example. A, publish your email addresses. If you put your email, the CEO's email address, well, that's easy. Now I know the owner's email
Are our
address.
email addresses on the website?
They shouldn't be if they are.
I don't.
I think
maybe I don't know.
maybe. Well, okay.
Regardless, they got your number
Once
somehow.
again, Zvonimir's hacked our deep security.
Well, it's not. I mean, our
No.
email addresses are first name at Rockstar
Yeah,
Brokerage,
yeah.
pretty much for everyone. So
Yeah.
once if you,
Nick,
it's
don't
not
say
hard
that.
to,
You just
So the-
released all the secrets
it's
to the
not
business.
hard to.
So I think the most
find
important
out.
thing to remember is that, like, the people who are trying to trick you, they're just tricksters. They're the scum of the world, and they're just trying to get your money because you have more of it than they do. And they live in these third world parties of the world. It doesn't matter where they are. And they're just trying to make a living for themselves. And this is how they're doing it.
Some of them live in Canada. I knew a girl from high school that she got arrested. This was a number of years ago, but she got arrested and was, I think, was it just arrested that we saw her? Maybe she went to jail. I forget. And she was in one of these call farms. I think it was in Quebec at this time, around the Montreal area. I forget. It could be in Ontario. And they were calling elderly people and kind of and
Right.
you know and scamming
This is
them
the
for
CRA
yeah,
or
they were
whatever.
scamming them
Yeah.
for money. And I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? She came from like a well-off family. Like they lived in the Mississauga Road, Eglinton area. You guys know the area. There's people with financial means that live in those homes. I don't know what happened since then. And that's what she got caught up in. Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Most of these scams are very simple by nature. Just like how like magic tricks, most of them are very simple by nature. Once you learn how it's done, you're like, oh, well, that's not that impressive at all, in fact.
Yeah. It's the text message to people that have you in their address book. That's why I think it's something on the phone.
Yeah, because if you don't
So-
look at the phone number, it just
Right.
comes up as Tom
Yeah.
Karadza.
That's
which-
why. So it's something on the phone. People
Well,
are
there you
getting
go.
or
So
something.
somebody installed a malware app on their phone
That's
and their
what I think it
contact
is.
list has been siphoned and off they go.
Yeah, that's what I
So
think it is.
guys, it's usually simple. So the thing to remember fundamentally, they're not technically savvy people, these people. Also, the people that are being scammed, the ones that fall for it, are not technically savvy people. You don't need to be a technically savvy person to fall for that. Like,
Agreed. But I
Like-
could see somebody of a
like
certain...
Tom, when have you ever asked somebody to go buy gift cards at all in any point of your life?
No, you're right. Yeah.
But the thing
Actually,
is,
you've
Actually,
asked-
this,
maybe
you've asked
Nick.
me
I
to-
actually
yeah,
asked Nick a few times probably. But yeah. No, in general, you're right. It doesn't happen.
okay. So, but it
Bad
actually,
example. Bad example.
but it actually
Nick,
works.
can you give me these gift cards?
We had a customer this happened to, and one of the poor staff members, she
Yeah.
fell for it. It's unfortunate that she did. And 2, 3, whatever, thousands of dollars went away in gift cards. You can't get that money back. So
Yeah,
it's a
that
really
sucks.
difficult battle. And it ultimately boiled down to just a phishing email, pretending to be the owner and off we go. So
okay, next one, because I have more.
All right.
What are you using right now? Do you like WhatsApp, Telegram, or Signal? And if you're not familiar with these, if you're listening to this, WhatsApp is the messaging app by Facebook. Telegram is a different kind of messaging app.
Cross-platform messaging apps, right?
Yeah, and Signal is another one. Which one do you prefer, or do you like, or do you have thoughts on any of these?
Okay, I've deleted WhatsApp.
WhatsApp's not on your phone?
No.
Because of security?
It's owned by Facebook.
Because of security. I like his answer. It's owned by Facebook. That's it. Dead stop. I'm not saying another word. So WhatsApp's not on your phone at all?
I've deleted the app.
So all the group chats that you've had, because I'm
Didn't
sure
care.
And you just said, I'm gone?
I'm out.
Okay, so then where did you go? Telegram or Signal or a combo?
I ended up going to Signal.
Okay.
And so now I'm gonna give you some context in the sense that I do miss some of the functionality and features of WhatsApp. It was a great app. It really, really was. In fact, the whole thing about WhatsApp was brilliant until it was owned by a company that has terrible, terrible track record of any sort of privacy or anything. And I'm not some sort of like, I need to be private and off the internet and all that sort of stuff.
Sure, you just want to be fairly secure.
No, not even that. Don't treat me like I'm a product, right? Now, Facebook and WhatsApp's, they recently announced something along the sides of the business side because they want to advertise, right? That's how Facebook makes money. They advertise, just like how Google does on a lot of their free products. I actually believe that Google's a better company morally at this point than Facebook is. To me, this is a personal opinion. I apologize if this offends anybody. I don't believe that Facebook has anybody's best interests in their minds at all, in any way, shape, or form. It's a product that needs to ultimately go away. Instagram is relatively similar to that, but at least Instagram focuses on just pictures, right? There's not a lot going on there. WhatsApp, again, how far will they move the goalposts? So it boils down to, I'm just not going to subscribe to that.
You just don't want the data collection on your life, on what you're doing, collected by some company that they can do with as they please.
So my principles are in play. So when it comes to, like, we use a vendor, I won't name them on the channel because I don't need to do that, but there's a vendor that supplies my type of companies with products to do our job better. This is great. They buy up all the little players and then they put it under their brand. They make you sign long-term contracts, and they're really big bullies. They know you're locked into these products, and they want to bully you into being a monthly recurring revenue for them.
It.
Cool. As soon as that company buys anything I use, I jump ship. Mm-hmm. I will refuse to use a product owned by that company. So the concept there is I refuse to use most Facebook products. Now, I do admittedly have Facebook still. I use it for a very, very, very small component of what Facebook is. I also have a business page, so it puts me in a bit of an awkward page. But no, I don't want to use WhatsApp. My chats are not important to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I deleted WhatsApp off my phone now as well. And I'm using a combination of Telegram and Signal because a bunch of people were on Telegram.
Yeah.
But Signal, I feel, is more decentralized and a bit more secure, but its functionality isn't quite as good. So,
well, the guy who originally wrote WhatsApp wrote Signal.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had no idea.
As long as my memory serves me.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
And I want to delete my Facebook app, but I think I'm in the admin on one of our groups, so I have to kind of look at something like that.
There's nothing even there. I mean, if you don't post anything, you don't use it.
I haven't posted something on Facebook, I would imagine, in probably 5 years.
So Facebook is no longer marketing to guys like us or people in our age category and up. They're now hunting the younger generations. And this probably will prove futile because the younger generations don't care about Facebook.
Yeah, I'm going to say my kids, they think Facebook is just useless.
It's useless, yeah. But Facebook is now... Yeah,
they use Instagram.
That's just... Kids don't know that.
No, I know, but Facebook doesn't care. If they're getting the users on Instagram, they're still getting the users, and then they can still morph them and do what they want.
But you get less in, like on Facebook, you get all the political stuff on there. You get a little bit less. Like Instagram's a little bit more pictures.
I don't know. I haven't looked at either one in years. I haven't been on.
So I read an article where Facebook, their algorithm put a preference on things that would make the user angry over the last, stretch of time versus things that would make users happy. Because angry users stick around.
Yeah, and that's why. Did you read it?
If you can't tell me that that's not a cancerous.
Yeah. Oh
my
gosh.
So this is awesome because this is so interesting because the whole Trump thing. And people are like, well, Trump got all this free media from the CNNs of the world and stuff like that. Even though they were trying to bash him, they gave him so much coverage. They're like, wow, it obviously helped him, so much free media. The same thing happened in Facebook. When they look back at these reports, they're like the Trump
engagement
type of news, because it was frustrating people on the left. It got spread way more because the engagement was higher, and it got spread and it got much more visibility than other stuff. Which is
so
really
what you're saying
interesting.
is when Trump runs again for 2024, it's going to be awesome on social media.
Well, they've tried to change everything.
Yeah, but
and all
let's
their
face
rules
it, they're just
now.
going to go for the money. Jesus. Okay, so the next thing, VPN. Do you use a VPN? So a virtual private network for anyone listening to this. Do you recommend people use a VPN? What would be the situation where I should use a VPN?
When you need to connect to your office to get data from your office. Otherwise, you don't. What do you need a VPN for?
If I want the U.S. programs on
hide what you're
Netflix, that I
doing.
have to trick Netflix.
But
to
you're
think I'm
not
American.
hiding anything, really. I mean, the reality is like, what are you trying to hide?
Got it. So a VPN doesn't somehow obscure my IP address.
It does, but what is that going to help you?
I don't know. Like, let's say someone's really secure and they want to log into their banking, and they're like, "Well, I'm going to log in through a VPN just because it adds another layer of confusion." No. Waste of time.
If you're on
I can
public
see
Wi-Fi.
Zvonimir's judgment on the look on his face as he's looking at me explain
Here,
this.
I'll give you an example.
Okay, public Wi-Fi.
Right?
There's a kids cartoon that's been out for about a year. This the newest season, and it's not available in North America or in Canada yet. We still can't get it. So I have
It's a
to
huge
go.
first world problem, but
So
sure.
I
Really,
know.
this is a serious
So
issue.
I have to go on and download copies of these episodes for my daughter.
Oof.
Is that a good example of using a VPN?
Oh,
Now I have to cover my tracks, right?
Zvonimir's thinking that he's pleading the fifth on that one. Okay, so
I would pay for it.
No,
We
you
just
know where
can't
else
get
I've
it.
used it? I wanted to watch TFC play some playoff games when I was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get on TSN internationally. So I needed a VPN to make it look like I was in Canada so I could watch the TSN
Yeah,
app,
so when you
which
want-
I was paying for. By the way, I was
that's-
paying for
I
TSN's
get it.
mobile thing.
Yeah. So in those scenarios, VPN plays a role. But do you need VPN? The answer is no. You don't just generally need it unless you're somebody who does connect to Starbucks or whatever. Then yeah, please connect to your VPN.
Yeah, if you're in a star. Okay, I didn't know
Right.
if you were going to just say, "Yep, it's another layer, and you should try to use
Well,
it."
it ultimately encrypts your data. So by encrypting your data, you're stopping a lot of the junk that could be possibly coming through. Now, in today's day, a lot of the data that's transferring on your computer is already, in fact, encrypted anyway. So it's a debatable, not like black and white scenario, right? There's a lot of grays there.
Yeah, I know.
The problem is that people think they need a VPN because then they're just more safe on their home network. What are you scared of on your home network?
No.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
maybe if you're traveling at a hotel and
Exactly.
you want to add another layer. Okay. Any other encryption on your laptop that comes to mind? I guess not. Is there
well,
any-
there's File Vault.
What's the file vault? I don't think I use that.
So on your Mac right now, your data is by default not encrypted. Cool. If you turn on File Vault, it's then encrypted.
It doesn't slow performance when I'm accessing files or anything.
Well, there's ways for me. If your Mac is not encrypted, I could, if I physically had your computer, I could boot it up in a way and then just see all your data.
Really?
Yes,
Without the password?
correct.
Oh shit. That sucks.
Because it's not file vaulted. It's not encrypted. It's the same story on
But
the
who
Windows side.
cares?
No, I
What's
don't
on,
know.
like-
I know, but it's kind of
Well, you
sucks.
should
You
care.
just
It
don't
does
want
suck.
that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should care.
Why are you saying that? Just because of the personal
Well,
information?
you have data on your computer, don't you?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the type of stuff that I have in my, like, there's just nothing that's really this, like,
Did you do anything banking related or?
Bitcoin related?
but I don't have, if you're talking about my
Nick,
file.
when I look at you like this,
Well, no. If you're talking about your files, my files are all this work stuff that we do here.
No, but
marketing
like
things and
anything-
stuff
Do you
like
have
that.
customer data?
No, it's everything's. We're like cloud based for everything.
That's great.
So,
but
like,
in
I have a
general,
ton of
people
stuff.
aren't like you. So I'm saying most people are going to have some customer data on there if they're working with clients.
Yeah, and I guess if you're
stuff.
saving your own banking data and stuff on there, and I don't, because in 1Password I save that type of stuff that I need for that,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else is like, if someone there's probably some things there that I prefer that people didn't really see or get access to, but
But I guess there's
overall-
some passwords saved in the browser. You know, it's like, do you want us to save this password? I guess that's shitty.
For that, you need to be able to boot up the computer. That's different.
Okay, so
We're
you
talking
can't
about
get
flat files in a lot of cases
Okay.
here, but
So client information, that kind of stuff, you could probably get access to because if it was in a document, you could get to it.
yeah, the reality is if you're concerned about data security to the extreme or whatever, File Vault is your answer, or BitLocker on the Windows side. They both work the same way. It's ultimately just encrypting your data, and you need a password to log in and reboot the computer and things
Let's
like
try
that.
not to talk about Windows. I'm joking. I'm totally joking.
enough.
I'm totally joking. We have one Windows machine here. Fair enough. His phone's on board.
Still the same one from 20.
No, we had to get a new Windows, and the freaking we got this new laptop. I don't know, Nick, if the Wi-Fi is it working again? Oh God!
But
I couldn't even get to the settings.
It's our banking system still. I was talking to the guy today because I had to actually use that to be able to log in because I was like, you have to go in and create a user. I'm like, I use a Mac. I can't log into your system because you have to use an old version of Internet Explorer to log in to the TD Bank software. And I'm like, guys,
so we had to download an old version of Internet Explorer.
Yeah, you can't even use the one that comes with like Windows 10 or whatever it is. It's Microsoft Edge. You have to it's like Internet Explorer version like 8.5 or like it's like old, years old. They protect your bank, and those are the guys running the technology for your bank account.
My! Every time I think about the banking system, I flash back to when I started there, and they were teaching people to learn JCL, Job Control Language, which was the instructions for the COBOL mainframe computer to run the COBOL application. Somebody would have to create JCL or Job Control Language to launch the mainframe apps, and I think about that every once in a while. They're still doing that for sure. Our whole banking, there's no way they got off those mainframes. Our whole banking system right now is still run on batch job mainframe computers. That's why when Zvonimir goes to the bank or you and I go to the bank after 4 p.m., it's like these transactions will be dated on the next business day because they're batching these transactions still. It's 2021. Our banking system infrastructure is a joke.
Yeah, we use two pieces of software here, which drive me nuts. The bank one and then the brokerage back-end accounting, which is kind of like the industry leader. We connect to it still via Microsoft Remote Desktop Connection. It's pure client server. I'm like, guys, like how old is this thing? Like what are we doing?
It's 2021.
I mean,
it's 2020.
We started moving away from this stuff 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Accounting software is a difficult industry to deal with.
Oh my gosh. Okay, next thing I wanted to ask you, Wi-Fi boosters. I don't know if you have any experience with this, and maybe I'm thinking residential because you've set up our Wi-Fi here, and I got to commend you. Nick and I are very critical of Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi in here that you set up has been amazing. I think it's two routers. Is it two routers?
Is that two access points?
Access points that you've set up that seem to talk together. It's been perfect.
That's the Ubiquity brand. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And then we
got too cheap to buy the more expensive one. Though.
They were. You were certainly.
Oh, really?
We went cheap.
Oh, when you say we, do you mean you?
Yeah.
Oh, great. See, Nick saves us money. I don't even know what's happening.
He did save you money, and rightfully so because you didn't really need the higher end one, so it worked out fine.
Yeah, no, it's great. Except that somebody on our team who drives a Tesla for software updates. Do you know who I'm talking about? They drive up close so they can get our Wi-Fi because it's so fast, and they have the Wi-Fi password because they're part of the team to download the Tesla updates really fast. Did you know he does that?
No,
yeah, he does that. Every once in a while, I look outside, his car's like right in front. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just downloading the latest Tesla. It takes me like an hour at home. I'm just whipping it down here.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he does that. He parks right in front.
You'd think he'd have decent internet at home, though, right?
I know. Knowing him, I know he's not listening. He's probably not listening. Knowing him, he's just like too cheap to down. Like it's some data cap he's got on at home or something. He might be on the grass in the back here on the weekend with his car sometimes, just trying to get the weekend Wi-Fi connection.
That's funny. I had no idea.
No one has our password. You can't do that. If you're listening to this, don't come close to our office Wi-Fi.
So to answer your question with Wi-Fi,
Tesla's outside.
There's a good brand that I like. I think Amazon owns them though. It's called Eero, E-E-R-O. Really easy to set up. Plug it in, like it plugs into power outlets.
That's for the booster.
Yeah, so it's a whole Wi-Fi like home system. Like you can install it in small businesses if you're starting out. Generally, businesses you would need something a little bit more robust, but they're pretty great from a small business perspective.
Okay, so, and if somebody's at home, because I know for my son when everything was online at university, he was taking exams, and right in his bedroom, of course, it was on the second level. The Bell 5 router thingy was in the basement, and I needed a bit of a booster to get to his room. So that's something that you could recommend for most people. They plug it into their outlet and boost the signal.
So interestingly enough, Bell has a pretty cool product that they bought. Plum or something like that. They're these little like pods.
I have two in my house right now.
Yeah, they're good. They bought a company that was doing this.
It's a mesh network?
Yes. Which is important because you don't have wires all over your home, right? So you don't have anywhere to plug them in, generally speaking. So you just plug them into an outlet and hope that they can mesh to each other, and it actually works really well.
They gave me an app. I was blown away, Nick. I just did this like 2 months ago or something. They gave me an app so that I could actually monitor them to see if they're on the network and the strength of their signal.
Correct.
And both my kids now say they can get better signal where they're hanging out.
So that's the easiest solution because you just work with Bell, but they're going to bill you, I don't know, $10 a month per pod.
They did $10 a month per pod. I think I got some promotion to begin with.
They're making money.
Yeah, because those things are only like $100 each, $150 each.
Yeah,
correct.
But the explanation I got around a mesh network that was kind of interesting was just that it's all acting as one network, so you don't have to unconnect.
Well, it is
disconnect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Disconnect.
Took a lot out of you.
Yeah, it really did.
So the mesh networking is you have one SSID or one network, but they all work in unison, like a harmony. Like your 3 microphones are all plugged into a main amp or whatever, right? Or mixer. So that mixer is the controller hub for everything, and it just makes it all work.
And the brand you just mentioned, is that also a mesh network setup thingy?
Eeros are mesh, yeah. There's Eero. There's a bunch of them out there, right? I've really had great success with just recommending Eero to somebody. They go to the store, they buy it, and they install it themselves. I don't even have to get involved.
Is Eero just ERO or something?
EERO.
EERO.
And it is. It's owned by Amazon. So
yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So with that, you have some concerns.
So
but
your data, and your history is definitely going to some database there.
Yeah.
The next thing I wanted to ask you was, do you have any favorite MacBook shortcut commands? Because this saves my life every time I have to take screenshots when we're putting presentations together. I use Command Control Shift 4 to get like the copy and paste little kind of, the crosshair, so I can cut and paste off my screen, or Command Control Shift to take a screenshot and I'll save it to my desktop. Those 2 shortcuts save my life. Like I use those probably almost at least weekly, if not daily. I mean, do you have any other shortcut commands that you really like?
You're really digging into my muscle memory, but there's a couple. Command Space is a great one because it'll launch Spotlight, and then you search for whatever it is that you want to launch.
That's a good one.
And then instead of like you clicking around to the Finder and blah, 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 forget that. Stop clicking so much. Use the keyboard. So Command Space, type in like the first couple letters, and it'll usually pop up for you. Great. You can even use that to do basic quick math. Command Space and then just type in the math.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
You can even do currency exchange. So Command Space and then do $30, and it'll convert your local currency CAD into US right away, right on the spot, which is really handy. Another really cool one is, I don't know why this one struck me, but let's say you've got, like I'm looking at your window there and you've got a bunch of tabs open. If you did Command Q, your whole browser window would close. But Command W will close just that window, so that tab within Safari, for example. So if you've got 20 tabs open of websites, Command W will just close the active tab.
And that applies to Chrome as well?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, Command W is system-wide, so it doesn't matter what application we're talking about. If it's got multiple windows or tabs, so let's say you've got 20 Word files open, Command Q would quit Word.
Yes, which is what I use usually, Command Q, and sometimes I'm cursing because it'll say, do you want to save this document? I'm like, oh, I didn't even mean to do that.
But you're like, I just want to close this document.
Command W. Okay.
That's a good one.
That's a great one. And then the other one that I struggle with is on Mac. Ever since I moved over years ago now, I haven't solved this one, but I think I just saw it on your blog. To delete a file, it's really much hard. You know, in Windows, you can just hit delete. On Mac, you kind of have to always go like edit, delete trash or something.
Command delete.
It's Command delete. I've never used Command delete. You use Command delete?
Yeah.
Why are you holding that one for me, man?
I don't know. I figured I just gave you too much credit for how much knowledge you
Another
have.
great one is actually if you want to rename a file, just select the file once, one click. Don't double click. Double click opens it, right? One click, and then hit the return key or enter, and it'll select the file name automatically, and then you just start typing to rename it.
Oh, I didn't know that one. Did you know that one, Nick?
I hit space.
Did you know that
How many people are sitting?
Did you know that one?
It's the same thing.
No, you didn't know that one.
Mine's more advanced because the key's bigger, so it's easier. Instead of return, space, easier.
So I want to see how many people are actively scrambling on their computers, smashing these shortcuts to see what
Yeah, and if you're listening to this while you're driving or something, there's no way you're remembering any of it. But every once in a while, when I refresh my shortcut education, I know this sounds totally geeky, but I don't care. It really helps my life. I'm so much more efficient.
Yeah, if you get into the habit of some of that stuff.
Like the Command Space one, I forgot about Spotlight. I use that one so regularly, I forgot about it, but that's a fantastic one.
I replaced Spotlight with, I think it was Alfred at the time, because Spotlight was just slower and cumbersome, so Alfred was faster.
Oh, Alfred, yeah.
So I like that one.
Are you using it for free, Nick?
I don't give a shit.
If you're using something for free, do you know what the product is? Do you know who the product is?
It's free. You think I'm going to pay for an app like that?
Yeah, so
Damn
then
right
you definitely have malware on your computer. And Zvonimir's shaking his head right now, for sure. That's malware.
I don't think Alfred's free, guys.
Oh, damn.
Damn, I paid for it?
Nick, you paid for software? We better see that on the expense, our spreadsheet tracking shit. What kind of shit are you paying
That's
for?
a business expense. That's productivity.
Holy shit, man. Rip off on that one. Okay, that one. Oh, this is one I wanted your opinion on. I use the Photos app on my phone all the time. I struggle with Photos on the MacBook itself. Do you use the Photos application on your computer or just on your phone?
I do both.
And you find that useful?
Well, the app's not the greatest app, I'll be honest, but
okay.
it should be in sync at the very least.
It's in sync if I open it, but it sucks, so I don't even bother using it. I'm like you. I'm like, forget it.
I never even open it. So what do you mean in sync? When you open it, it'll sync all my...
Well, all your photos on your phone should be on your computer. If they're not, it's a quick little setting. We can deal with that later.
Oh, yeah. I think I kind of turned that off. It just bothers me that app so much. I have everything backed up to the cloud.
So you're using iCloud?
I'm using iCloud.
So you just probably don't have iCloud turned on your computer.
Yeah. It's bother you. You're an iCloud fan on the computer for photos though?
Yeah, it's great because if I take a photo with my, like I'll go in the garage and I'm selling something. I don't know, a stupid example, but I'll sell something. I'll take a couple snapshots and then on my computer I'll do all the work.
Yeah. I use AirDrop still to move them over.
Yeah, that seems ridiculous.
Yeah. Totally ridiculous.
So let's fix that workflow.
Okay.
I think it's faster. No, because once you get into that Photos app, it gets so bogged down with crap to try to use them. It's a pain.
But maybe his is in sync. Because when we launch, it's probably not in sync for 3 years.
No, mine's in sync, but it doesn't matter. Just to do anything with the photo, it's there. Then I'm like, what the hell? How do I use this?
You know what else I hate about?
I'm
I'm a Mac guy for sure now. But you know what else I hate? iTunes. The whole music experience on Apple. I hate it.
Apple Music, you mean?
Apple Music. Sorry, Apple Music now. I hate it. It sucks. I don't know why they have to be so horrible on it.
Yeah,
I started using Spotify now because of the Tesla, and Spotify's in the Tesla. Spotify's amazing.
Yeah.
I know everyone knows this, and I'm late to the game here.
I'm totally late to that game. Personally.
Yeah, Spotify's amazing.
Spotify's better, but it's just the laziness in me. I'm like, the Apple Music's integrated into everything well, so I just use Apple Music.
Yeah.
Like
right?
how many subscriptions do you want to have, right?
No, agreed. But Spotify, you know why? When I'm walking my daughter's dog, because this is what I do. This is now my job. I walk my daughter's dog, and I can be listening.
You fell into that trap?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I think everyone could see that coming before the dog arrived.
Fell in the pool. We closed our pool. It's now fallen in twice onto the cover, and I always think it's going to get sucked up by the cover and just die of suffocation. So it just fell in the other day. I had to kind of go scoop it out of the pool.
But the dog?
Yeah, because it smelled. I was barbecuing steaks. And it loves steaks so much, it freaks out and tried to hop over. We have a waterfall in our pool. I tried to hop from one rock to the other rock and didn't quite make it. Oh, we have a very athletic dog.
Clearly.
Yeah, we have a very athletic dog. I had to go.
I was going to say, are you talking about yourself or the dog right now? You know?
No. But I have myself on video running to get the dog, which is kind of a funny video from our.
Wait a minute. Time out. Your dog's drowning, and you took a video of this.
No, because we have security cameras. We're very secure.
Oh, I see. So
Zvonimir,
automated video.
Yeah.
Understood.
I went back into the security cameras.
Because I'm like, you got to save the dog. Worry about your social media.
I didn't take a selfie video of me. Hey, I'm about to save my dog.
Look at me saving the dog I almost killed.
Can you imagine? Okay, something else. Reminders and notes on Apple. I love those two applications. Do you use those two? And if you do you have any thoughts or tips?
Reminders has gotten a lot better. So no tips really there.
Okay, but you do use reminders.
I do use it from time to time. I'm terrible at this because I use a different third-party app I can mention in a second. With Notes, their app has gotten really good.
Really good.
It's probably my favorite Apple app, and I don't use a lot of them.
I agree.
Because I feel like they just lack in functionality in a lot of ways. Listen.
So why do you like Notes? What are you using Notes for? Just like as a brain dump to store information? How are you?
No, I don't use it very much at all, actually.
Okay.
But I do appreciate what it is and what it's become. And I will use it, say, on my iPad, because then I can, like, I've got the Apple Pencil or whatever, and I can write notes, like actually write notes. Now, I can't read my writing, but that's a different problem.
Guys, I take the most wonderful notes. I actually write the best poetry you've ever. I can't read any of it.
Thing.
I don't know. I can't repeat it back to you.
It's a hot mess.
But you're saying the Apple product can read your handwriting,
but you
can't.
Into text?
Well, it can change exactly. Yeah. So thank you for segueing me. Where Tom is just Neanderthalically dealing with making fun of me.
Neanderthalically.
Is that a word? I don't think so.
I don't know, but
I'm disconnecting. I'm
good.
disconnecting from this conversation. Okay.
Because you're a Neanderthal.
No. I use an app.
We took the DNA sample. I know how much of a Neanderthal I am. Thank you
it was
very
high.
much.
I think,
no, it wasn't. It was right in the.
I use an app called Notion, which Notion users, if anybody's in the podcast, they'll be like rah-rahing me right now in their cars. But Notion is really, really powerful in the sense that it's a relational database app where you can do a lot of things. You can build tables in. It's crazy what you can do.
Oh, you're a tech geek if you're talking about Notion and relational and tables. Yes.
Well, it's great because I can create a page in Notion that has my customer list with a bunch of different fields, and I can then relate that page to another database, if you will. But I'm not doing this by
building
being
databases in these apps.
But it's any dummy, including myself, because I'm a dummy when it comes to this stuff. I really, really am. I use maybe 1% of what Notion can do, and I keep hitting that wall of like, I wish I could do this, and it's like I know it can, but I can't. I'm not capable of energy, like the amount of energy it requires to figure it out. But it's super, super powerful.
Okay, I got to check out Notion.
Notion's
I
a
love
cool app.
Apple Notes because for the presentations that we do these things, real estate updates and local kind of market updates around the real estate market and economic updates. If I come across something on my phone, I can dump it into Apple Notes so easily.
Absolutely, yeah.
Save it there, and then I have this stockpile of information to go as raw material to go build a presentation off of.
Correct.
And Notes is just become fantastic for that because from wherever you're reading now, from if you're seeing something on a website or from Twitter or from whatever application you're on, you can quickly throw it in Apple Notes. I absolutely just love it. So yeah, I use it all the time. We've actually, for a while, we had shared notes. We kind of got away from that when we were doing the team meetings.
Which had reminder lists.
Those are good
shared
too.
reminder list. Yeah, it was a
I use it
reminder
for groceries.
list. Yeah,
That's about
yeah.
it.
Yeah, we have a
Same
couple
here.
in our family that we use for that stuff.
Yeah, I have a Canadian Tire reminder list because I'm always going to Canadian Tire for something. Yeah. Anyway, that's a different story. If I see you in the aisles of Canadian Tire in Oakville, that's what that. Okay, reminders and notes. Notion. There was something else that I wanted to ask that I've kind of just escaped me now. Around this IT
What
stuff.
about browsers? What about moving to DuckDuckGo or something like that? If you're like an anti-Google person.
Well, that's a search engine, not a browser.
Oh, sorry.
Jesus.
Yeah. Sorry,
No.
Brave.
Your IT skills have really gone. You used to be like a solid 6.
Are you still talking
Now you're
Neanderthal?
a 2. Now you're a 2.
You're
Neanderthalically.
We all are
interrupting us.
Everyone has some Neanderthal in us. Listen, I took anthropology in university. We all have some Neanderthal.
You know, one of the rules
the Homo sapiens eliminated the Neanderthals, but we all have some Neanderthal in us.
So on a podcast, generally, you don't try to speak over to each other, right? Over each other. But when Tom disagrees with you, then he'll just keep speaking until you stop, and then because he doesn't care about the rules anymore. So,
but yeah, the browser question was a good question.
It was
good job on that.
So search engine, DuckDuckGo, browser, Brave, that type of stuff. Is that like just overkill, or if you're like, hey, I want to kind of protect, I don't want Google, tracking my every move that
there's
make that move.
DuckDuckGo is good. I found there's a couple other ones that the names are escaping me now.
Have you ever done searches on DuckDuckGo and done the same search on Google?
Yes.
You guys done that?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you get different results.
It's very interesting, especially around like kind of sensitive topics. So if you do COVID and Trump or this type of stuff, you get a vastly different.
What the hell are you searching?
Well, I'm testing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting. I haven't. I'm gonna have
really
to do that.
Because
If you search COVID stuff on Google and COVID whatever comes to mind for you on DuckDuckGo, you will get different results.
Very different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you'll get
different news results.
you'll get like some peer-reviewed scientific papers on DuckDuckGo that do not come up on Google. And
I see.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I started doing the test. I started doing it was about a year ago, I guess, close to when the election was, the U.S. election. I started going to Fox News and CNN and just seeing the headlines on the front page of the two different news channels, almost just for my own humor. It was really funny to see the wide difference. And then I started doing it with different search engines just to kind of see what was going on.
So do you if you had to rank them, Google Chrome, Safari, Brave, which do you like? Which do you use? Do you use Safari maybe?
I do use Safari. I used Chrome for a long time, and it's not that I don't mind Chrome. Ultimately, there's a lot of, again, ad tracking and things that you got to worry about. But Chrome, unfortunately, has the most compatibility with most websites. So it's, again, unfortunately, with all technology, it's not a black and white answer. I use Safari 99% of the time, fundamentally, and almost only because there's two reasons. One, the battery performance on your laptop is going to be way better than on with Chrome.
Oh, wow. It's optimized for it.
I never
Makes
thought
sense.
about that. So Chrome's not optimized
We're talking
for the
like
M1.
hours of battery life.
Oh, wow. Really?
Especially on the M1s. It's
Really?
insane. If
Chrome won't make an M1 version of Chrome.
do me a favor. Use Chrome one day, all day on your Mac. You'll be plugging in. Use Safari on your Mac. You'll get out of the office and go home and still have battery life.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So that's one reason Safari is absolutely better. It's not slower than Chrome. It's fast. It's a great browser, Safari. The other one is just the privacy concerns. Safari has built-in ad tracking, blocking, and all those sorts of things. So it's great. Brave is a great browser, but because a lot of those, it's so aggressive in its blocking, you tend to run into issues with certain websites, and that kind of gets annoying. So I'm somebody who I'd rather not be annoyed, but release a little bit of control.
Yeah, okay, so Safari's kind of your middle ground.
It's a great middle ground. It's a great browser. I recommend it in general for a Mac user.
And when you see Brave, when Brave wants to, or has the option to launch a tab with Tor, and I don't know if you know this, is Tor just a way that IP address, you ping around your IP address? What's Tor?
Oh, man. I'm going to do it a disservice if I try to explain it.
Just one sentence. Like, is it just another layer of security?
You're just trying to anonymize yourself more than you would normally.
Okay.
Is a super simple way of explaining it.
Okay.
I don't know why I've convinced myself of this or I'm comfortable with it, but I've generally come to terms with, I feel more comfortable with Apple with more of my data than Google or Facebook, for sure Facebook, but then even Google. So like
you should though,
right? Because I just feel like they respect a little bit more privacy and stuff like that. That's my feeling. I've based it on a couple small things, but nothing really.
Okay, so let's talk about that big elephant in the room. Is Apple siphoning your personal data for their benefit in some way, shape, or form?
I'm sure in some way, shape, or form they are.
Possibly.
Yeah.
How they're doing it, what they're doing with it, are two fundamental questions that we can't quite answer. As it stands right now, the way Apple at least markets itself, Tim Cook has gone out and said this multiple times, is basically saying your privacy is our concern.
Yeah.
They want you to have your privacy. And all they've done up to this point, because we don't have evidence of the alternative, which is what Google and Facebook are doing. They are, as far as we can tell, again, I'm not like some sort of, they are respecting users' privacy. Now you're paying what a lot of people will call as an Apple tax for that as well, because they can't make money on the back end deal.
Well, their new laptops or the MacBook Pros, I almost had a heart attack when I saw the starting price of the MacBook Pros.
Yeah, they're great machines, and it's back to the price that they were before too.
When they were that powerful, I guess.
Except they weren't that powerful.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess that's a great segue too. Is like, well, why does Apple hardware cost so much? And it doesn't. You have a 13-inch MacBook Pro here that costs you probably just about $2,000. That's a good price for an exceptional laptop.
I get it. I get it now. I didn't, but when we first moved to Apple, I didn't get it. And I went to, and I couldn't, I'm like, to the sales rep, I'm like, I don't get this. Why am I paying the specs on this versus the spec on the HP, PC equivalent? Why am I paying so much more? The specs aren't even as good. He's like, yeah, you don't understand. When everything works in unison. And I'm like, that sounds such a...
when the hardware is designed for the operating system.
And I'm like, it's such a load of crap. I don't get it. But you know what? I've heard so many good things. I'm going to try this thing. And for 2 weeks, or for about a week, I think it actually was, I hated the thing. And then once you make the transition, for me personally, I've become, I used to look at Apple people and be like, I don't get it. Why do they think they're better than everyone? Like, what's wrong with these people? But I ended up becoming one of those people because now I go to use a PC and I can't handle it. But it is. And it's not just that. Our PCs in the past, those laptops, and they're made better now. There are higher quality ones available.
Sure.
But they basically became disposable after about 2 years. Right? Whereas these things last far longer.
Yeah.
So let's go down a road here, which is an interesting road for people who might be listening who don't understand exactly what you just described. And I think it's a little bit deeper than just surface level stuff. So if we look at PCs and Macs, I don't know, 5 years ago, they're the same damn thing. They both used Intel. They both used the same RAM, ultimately, the same, hard drives. All these things were all the same. It's just what case did you put it in and who marketed it better? And arguably Apple did. Now, Apple was one company. They're trying to unify everything. Everything was great, but it was ultimately the same thing. What fundamentally changed was software. Okay, so hardware-wise, same computer. Software-wise, two different worlds. Can we agree with that? Mm-hmm. Cool. So now, that's boring. The Apple computers were expensive then, but they weren't any more expensive than good high-end Windows computers of the day because the hardware components that the three same factories make are the same damn components. Okay? When we fast forward to last year when the M1s came out, and this week or last week announced, I think actually Monday was the first day or Tuesday that these computers shipped, the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, which are... The benchmarks aren't quite out yet, but they're insane. So now we have a differential, finally, a real differential, where Windows computers fundamentally are using Intel chips still, and we have the M series chips on the Mac side. Really cool what's happening with that, because it's not just a processor anymore. That M chip is an SoC, which means all the system components are on the one chip. RAM, GPU, which is your graphics processor, and a couple other ML processors, like a whole bunch of different things that Apple has done, which they fundamentally started on the iOS, the iPhones and iPads. I don't know if you've noticed, guys, but you've had iPads probably for 8-9 years and didn't even realize they slowed down. They didn't slow down.
Yeah, they barely did.
They're great devices.
Unless you use a brand new one, you don't even realize.
You don't even realize, right? So now you take this M-based processor, which gave you all of a sudden 10 more hours of battery life.
I love it.
Your power usage has decreased by 80 watts and all these other various things. You can't slow this buddy down. There's no fan in this thing.
It's great.
There literally is no fan in the MacBook Air 13-inch. There's no fan.
That's a good point. You're right. I've never heard the fan.
There is no.
I guess that's why I've never heard the fan.
There is no fan.
Got it.
Right.
Didn't
So
know.
it's like, so how can this chip do so much with so much performance at lower energy usage, at all these various benefits? And I'm not saying it's the best thing since sliced bread, but man, is it a change in gameplay. So when we look at this and we say, we've got M1 computers on the Mac side now, which actually have outperformed or are outperforming. There is no Windows PC on a generalist level that can come close to these right now, especially the Pro and the Max.
But is that because they're doing hardware software together? So I get it. I get the hardware component of it.
Well, the software is certainly a part of it, but the hardware is all one chip now. It's got this unified
so there's
memory.
No latency. It's all kind of integrated.
Guys, it's insane.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of time before Intel does a similar chip.
I don't know. Intel
Is it
feels
though?
like it's slipping.
Is it though?
Intel's been slipping for a while. I feel like it has.
I don't know. It was just a matter of time before Samsung copied everything Apple did. So, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, so Google is starting to do this ARM base because it's based on ARM versus x86 or whatever. That's boring technical mumbo jumbo. But basically,
a lot of this is boring technical mumbo jumbo.
I love this boring technical mumbo jumbo.
Intel fundamentally has had, guys, what happened to BlackBerry? Failed to innovate.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Palm Pilot.
No,
man.
but I really feel Intel, I don't hear about Intel breaking records on anything.
Because they haven't, and they're not. And the reason Apple made a switch was because they were sick and tired of waiting for Intel.
Yeah.
So they said, screw it. We'll do it ourselves. We've been doing it. We may as well just continue doing it. And it took some time, and then they finally did it. So now when you compare a Mac to a PC, it's not just about which software you're using. There is a hardware comparison.
Yeah, it's a different architecture.
And why would I suggest to somebody, and not to say I don't sell Windows computers or we don't have customers with Windows computers, we certainly do, and it's not a problem. It's what software you need will dictate what tool you use, because this is just a tool.
So for people buying, are you recommending, just for yourself, you like the new Mac, you think you would pick up a new MacBook Pro?
I bought the 14-inch M1 Max fully loaded like a psychopath.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is.
Like a psychopath.
Because there's,
I like that stuff too.
Because there is absolutely zero reason for me to have that much horsepower. Yeah. But I said, screw it. This is my world. I want to see this thing run.
You open that baby at Starbucks and you just, like a glow comes off of it. Look at me, you fuckers.
Well, for the amount that it cost, I wish it did a lot. But it's not going to do much more than sending my email.
Launching Safari, checking your email.
Yeah.
But look how fast that browser opens.
So I did that because obviously I'm in the industry. I don't recommend that for the average Joe.
Yeah. Honestly, this MacBook Air that I have, this 13-inch one, it's a rocket ship.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. And you know what? Also, they went back and fixed the keyboard, because the keyboard on the last MacBook Pro, I hated it. I actually hated it.
I don't mind mine.
I can type quite fast and quite quickly. My grammar today is just way off. But
I'm not allowed to say anything.
Yeah,
Neanderthalically.
Anyway,
what was the word? Neanderthalically?
Sure.
Yeah. I want to know if that's a word.
Listen, you know what we're going to do? We're bringing.
I guarantee you it's not.
This is going to stick, though.
No, we're going to do our DNA tests on the table here and just check everyone's Neanderthal ratios on here. Okay, that's what we're going to do.
So Tom, to give you perspective,
and then we're going to sing songs about that.
To give you perspective, the M1 is at whatever speed it is. The M1 Pro is double that.
Oh wow!
And the M1 Max is double the Pro on a general scale. So it's the M1 Max is 4 times as fast as the M1, and you just told me that the M1 you can't slow down. Like these computers are fast.
Yeah, apparently when you plug in the M1 Max, because it's so powerful, it actually will drain the battery, the usage of it, right, a little bit faster. So they slow the speed down, but when it's plugged in, apparently, because I've looked at we were looking for potentially something here for more video rendering and stuff like that, right? And I've seen some of the stats behind it, and it just seems incredible.
Well, this podcast, how long does it take? What Mac do we have that's processing?
It's got
these
an
videos?
M1 chip.
It does have an M1 chip.
So it's not a laptop. It's the little square box.
And that's been better than what we had before. But can you imagine these new chips?
Yeah,
it's going to rocket through that kind of stuff.
It's going to smoke it.
When you see, I want you to share what you do with clients in a second. But when you are working with, or when you walk into someone's house or a business, what's the easiest thing, or what drives you crazy about security that someone can do? And don't say freaking 2-factor authentication, because we are 2-factored up in here. What is it? Is it?
It's when the Wi-Fi password's not on, or set the password.
Actually, you know what? We should tell you that. I was wondering, you made the Wi-Fi password for this office. I'm not going to say it publicly on this podcast, but we've never changed it. So when people get that password, they just kind of laugh. I don't know if you remember what you made it.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll tell you afterwards.
I forget. But I think it was something silly.
It was. And we give it to people and they always look at us.
And they look at us and you people start,
really?
Like, oh, that's
and then
weird.
You know what? We always throw you under the bus. Wasn't us. It was Zvonimir made this password.
But it's a rememberable one, right?
It is, actually.
That's a good point. It is. It's long symbols,
special
numbers, everything, but you can remember it.
Yeah. Good job on that.
Trick is that it's memorable.
So when you walk into somebody's business or home, what drives you crazy that they could improve about their security really quickly that they don't? What comes to mind?
Well, you just trumped my
Is it the Wi-Fi?
Well, no, it's 2-factor, man.
Yeah, 2-factor.
It is.
It just comes down to 2-factor. Ever since Zvonimir said that, I'm 2-factored up on everything, man. And now I use Google Authenticator, because some of the 2-factor stuff is Google Authenticator. Yeah. Any thoughts about Google Authenticator? We didn't ask you that.
It's better now that you can actually back up the codes, I think.
Yeah, it's not back up. You can transfer. Maybe you can't back them up, but you can transfer them. I just got a new phone, and before, I think even getting them over to the
I stopped using all of them, and I just went to 1Password. By the way, 1Password can be your 2-factor thing.
It can.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, can it be on the 2-factor authentication? Can something like that be? Does the website have to be like approved with that particular authenticator?
No.
No, so it's anyone.
So it's the app itself. Okay, so let's say you're using 1Password or Authy or Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator.
Yeah,
do you guys see how this could be complicated for people?
Yes.
It's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, thank you. So your profession is a cluster.
Well, I just used. It's funny because I just used Google. I think it was for 1Password or Dropbox or something, and it wasn't like one of the approved. It wasn't one of the ones they tried to guide you towards. I'm like, I'm just going to try and see if this works, and it did work.
Right.
So there's a standard they must be following.
There's a standard. Yeah. There's a security hash that you can either type in manually or copy in manually, or you scan the QR code.
Yeah. Okay. So then you can, for the most part, maybe not.
There's
always,
a protocol that they're all following to do these time-based codes, right? And then it's all dependent on that.
If someone wants to reach out to you, what is the URL? What services do you offer? Who are your clients?
So atyourserver.ca, or email me Zvon at. I hate this.
Zvon at yourserver.ca.
Thank you. Yeah. There's the double at, which explaining that on the phone has.
You should have thought about that before you came up with that domain name.
I was young, man. I was stupid.
Yeah. At your server, but I got it. I see what you're doing with at your server. It's kind of like at your service, right?
That was the play on words. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I'm glad you figured out that
that's
basic.
the Neanderthal in me.
Yeah,
that's advanced, man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
that's beyond the Neanderthal. Okay,
you must be university educated. So.
Listen, I need someone else to defend me against you too.
Yeah, we do IT services for small, medium businesses, or we'll augment businesses that have IT departments. But fundamentally, we're consultants, right? So I will consult with you and work with what's a solution and blah, 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 blah. We don't like to force feed things, but there are certain things like 2-factor that we do. And we make that a mandate. Like, no, you need to have this if you want us to even talk to you at this point. It's so important.
Okay, so that's the basic.
But
for your clients, you will manage their laptops, their network, file backups. You'll do everything start to finish.
Yeah, we look at what's needed. It's funny because I keep trying to cookie cutter it, and I can't. It's impossible. Everybody's a little bit unique and different, right? But they follow the same basic guideline script in terms of like what they need, right? Like, email security, emails in general. So who are you using for email? Are you using Google or Microsoft? Those are the only two that will let people use at this point. Like hosting your own email is 1983. Mm-hmm. It's just not a thing anymore. and really just kind of guiding. What I've learned is that, just like you guys, right? Like having somebody to be able to lean on is more important than almost anything else. It's like, oh, I have this technical problem. I can't wait to just call Zvon or his team.
Yeah.
And
when crap hits the fan, having someone like you is an ace up your sleeve.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it, right? I had a customer, brand new customer. This is a great story, actually, and I'm not trying to rah-rah myself, but it did work out that way. They did an update on their computer. It was directly related to us sending a notification to do the update, and the update failed. And why it failed is still a mystery, but this computer would not finish the update, and it was just stuck on that progress bar. Well, the gentleman's like, listen, man, like, why the hell did this happen in the middle of the day too? Of course, right? Like, how am I supposed to solve this for him now? And he's about an hour's drive away. Nonetheless, I went over to his place, got his laptop, got the data off of it. Then we were able to at least rebuild the machine from scratch. We'll do stuff like that. We'll be there to help him, right? Like,
can you imagine Nick trying to figure out how to get the data off a laptop at this point? I couldn't even do that.
Well, and it even took me a bit of time because with the M1 Max, funny enough, they're so new that my muscle memory techniques are completely different. Like the stuff that we used to do for 15 years, it's all changed. So now it's like, how do I do that? And it's like, oh, I got to look it up because I can't remember that specific thing. Like I know it exists, but I don't remember how to. So it's impossible to keep up, even for guys like us, because the technology is moving at such a pace, right?
The next 10 years is going to be crazy. I've thought about something I need to ask Zvonimir about. We'll do it after the podcast, but about email and all that stuff. Thank you for this. We'll put your URL in the show notes at rockstarinnercircle.com/podcast. The URL to reach Zvonimir is at yourserver.ca. And on your website, you have a blog with a bunch of really cool tips on there. So if you're into this kind of stuff like Nick and I are, or just me, I don't know if you're in, I like this stuff.
I just know it all already.
Oh yeah, you know it all. I'm still learning. I'm the rookie on this
you know
stuff.
what, man? As you get older,
everything
you
know
need
in
your
this
younger
stuff.
brother
I taught
to
you
keep
everything you know
up to
in this
date
world.
with technology.
Yeah.
see how we spoke over each other, and then sometimes I'm like, I should stop, but then I'll just keep going.
So then, Nick, why did he email me about figuring out your public IP address for your cameras yesterday?
I've already told him how to do it.
I forget. On details, I forget. So there's no doubt about that. Oh, man. And then you know how we're going to conclude this episode? We're going to get the clip of Zvonimir singing, and we're going to put the Rockstar Bitcoin song. I don't know if I had a name, whatever. I heard the Bitcoin song that Zvonimir sang in there. And that's how we're going to end this episode. So if you're listening to this, you're about to be serenaded. Again, it's a great song. I love that song. We're going to be using that a lot.
Your poor listeners.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. That was freaking amazing. Yeah, thank you.
Bitcoin higher than a mile. I'm watching you in style all day. Oh, dream maker, you heartbreaker. Wherever you're going, I'm holding all day. Two drifters off to see the charts. There's such a lot of charts to watch. We're after the all-time highs, waiting for the dips, my rock star little friends. Bitcoin and you.
Oh my. Okay, that was amazing. Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can find every new episode of the Your Life, Your Term show on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And if you'd like to get free copies of some of the books that we've put together, like these right here, or some of the reports that we've put together, like these right here, you can find all of those at www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.